Normally when I do my videos like this, I don't ask you to subscribe till about 2 or 3 minutes into the video, but for this one it's took me a full month to get all this data gathered. I've had to pay really close attention to all the Premier League games, so if you can do me a huge favour, hit the subscribe button if you're new down below and you like this type of content. If you're already subscribed, then please do hit the like button or even just leave a comment down below. All of it helps my videos get pushed out to new people, and when it gets pushed out to more people, we'll have more recommendations coming in on what videos we should do, and then in the end we'll all get more content that hopefully you guys all want to see. So if you can, please do that down below. It will make a big difference. But let's get into this. So what we're going to be doing today is looking at the results of the 2-up method. Now for the past month I've done or recorded the odds for 2-up for every single Premier League game. Now I thought this was going to be nice and simple, just a few weekend games here and there, and luckily there has been an international break at the end of this month, so it's made it a little bit easier, but it was still a bit complex because of how many midweek and rearranged games there have been as well. But I have kept track of every single game. I've kept track of the profit you would have made if you cashed out when one goal went in after the opponent got back into it, what you would have got if you'd waited and the opponent got another goal back, whether or not the game's ended with an actual 2-up being hit. Kept track of all the liabilities, kept track of every single penny you would need to have done this, and as well as that I've kept track of the starting odds of both teams, so we can have a little look at the filter and see what would have happened if you maybe went for the teams that were just the favourites or the teams that were just the underdog for the games. So if you're someone who's already familiar with 2-ups themselves, just skip to this timestamp in the video and that's where I finish explaining how 2-ups work. If you are completely new to the 2-up strategy, I'm just going to give you a brief introduction here, just so you can understand what's going on if you're completely new to it. But I do already have videos on the channel about the 2-up method. But if we just come over here to OddsMonkey, the 2-up method is very simple. If you just come to Tools, go to Calculators and then Early Payout Calculator. Unfortunately, I haven't found a free version of this before, but maybe if you look at the spreadsheet that we've got, that will come on in a bit. Maybe you'll be able to work backwards from that and be able to calculate everything yourself. But to be honest, OddsMonkey, it's a very cheap subscription, especially if you're someone who's looking to actively use match betting or trading or anything along them lines. You'll probably make your money back plus a profit even when you're buying the OddsMonkey subscription. But this is essentially 2-up. There is a full guide over here to use it, but it's just quite simple to explain. 2-up is essentially used with either Paddy Power or I think Bet365, I'm not too sure, but I normally just use Paddy Power. And what Paddy Power do is when you bet on a team to win, as soon as that team goes 2-0 up or 2 goals clear, you will get paid out as if that team's won. Now the way you can use that to extract a profit is if you also lay that team over on Betfair, which essentially means you've got money on that team to win and that team not to win. Then if that team goes 2-0 up, Paddy Power will pay out and you'll get a profit from Paddy Power. And then if that team goes on to draw or lose from being 2 goals up, you will then get paid out on Betfair as well. So then you're basically getting 2 chunks of profit from the same bet. So you'll get a boosted profit in that case. Now it doesn't necessarily need to be fully executed. You don't need the team to lose or draw to get profit in all instances. If the other team gets back into it and the game becomes 2-1 or 3-2 or 3-1, you can then enter in the odds and cash out it essentially, which does majority of the time leave you with a bit of profit depending on how dominant the other team is. So it's quite simple to work out when you're doing it yourself. You're just going to come over to this early payout calculator, put in your stake, your back odds, your lay odds and your commission, and then when the team goes 2-0 up, you can change this to yes, and then you can put in the exchange back odds for that team and see how much you could get if you cashed out. You can then also leave it until maybe the other team gets back into it or the odds drift a little bit, put the new odds in and you'll see how much you can cash out for. So I'm just going to give you a quick little example from the collection we've already got, and we're going to use the odds for Watford against Southampton. So the starting odds for Watford were 5.5 and the lay odds were 5.9. Our 2% commission over there, so you can see we'd need to place a lay stake over on Betfair valued at £9.35 or a £45 liability. So at this point here, we've got £10 on Watford to win on Paddy Power and then we've got a lay of £9.35 over on Betfair on Watford. So you can see at the moment we're losing a guaranteed 84 pence at the most. If the team wins, so if Watford wins, we get £45 from Paddy Power. If they go on to, and then we'll lose £45 from the exchange, 82 pence. If Watford either draw or lose, we lose the £10 stake on Paddy Power, but we gain the £9 over on the exchange, and again, around about 80 pence loss. The bonus comes from when Watford go 2-0 up. So as you can see here, they went 2-0 up quite early on. So when they've gone 2-0 up, you change this to yes, and then you can see the instance you've got here. You can either leave it, and then again, you've already got this £45 paid out from Paddy Power, so you can forget about Paddy Power now. So you can either leave it. If Watford go on to win, then you lose all your money on the exchange and you take away the 82 pence loss. But if Southampton get back into it and Watford end up drawing or losing, you get that £9 back from the exchange as well, which means your total profit would be £54.16. Now the odds when it went to 2-0 were 1.4 for Watford to win still. So it was still quite a disparity for the odds considering they were 2-0 up. You don't normally get that. But if you were to put in that 1.4 over here on the calculator, you can see there already, if you went and placed this back stake over on Betfair, by the way, this doesn't mean you need to put extra money into it, this just extracts it from your profit and basically cashes you out. But you can see if you were to go over there, you would have made a guaranteed profit straight away of £14.94, regardless of the result. Just because Watford have gone 2-0 up, you're getting £14. But then, as you can see by looking over here on SofaScore, Southampton got back into it in the first half, which is a huge bonus. That instantly pushed Watford's odds up to 2.04. And with their odds being at 2.04, you can see that if you were to then go and back Watford with £27.04, you'd be taking away £27.31 worth of profit. That is over a 200% return on your £10 stake. So you can see just how huge that is. Then obviously if Southampton had got another goal, you wouldn't have needed to cash out at that point because you've then got your 2 up effectively happening. You could cash out if you wanted to, just in case Watford got back into it, but it's completely up to you. But that is 2 up in a nutshell. I know that took a while for me to explain. So this here is the spreadsheet we've got. Now, if you're someone who likes to look in things in a bit more detail, I'm going to export this spreadsheet from my big Excel, basically workspace, but I'm going to export this and put it on my website. So if you want to use it yourself, just come over to the website. The links are always down in the description and go to the spreadsheet section. It will be on this spreadsheet section by the time this video's come out. I'll make sure of it. You just want to scroll down and you'll be able to hit the download button on any of these spreadsheets. But if we just take a look at it here, you can already see we've got in yellow where a team went 2 up, in green where a team went 2 up and then conceded again after that, so the odds got a little bit better for us. And then obviously green as well is in for actual 2 ups. We only had 1 2 up throughout the whole thing, but if we just look at it, if we were to have placed a 2 up on every single Premier League game in the month of March, you can see it would have cost us £620 worth of stakes over on Paddy Power, and it would have cost us £1,560 worth of liability over on Betfair, and the actual qualifying loss we would have made throughout the whole month in total would have been £57.71. So although you need a lot of capital to initially get these 2 ups placed, the amount of guaranteed loss you would have made if every single game didn't have a team go 2-0 up would have been £57 for the month. But as you can see, if we look at this first column here, which is when a team's just gone 2-0 up, if we'd have cashed out at the point for every single game where a team went 2-0 up, you can see we would have lost £14.24. So it's not a huge loss based on the amount you've put into it, but it is still a loss at the end of the day, so that's not ideal. We then have this column over here, which is if a team has gone 2-0 up and then the other team gets back into it. Now, to work out the odds for this one, because obviously in this instance here, this team has gone 2-0 up, but then if we were cashing out at this point for every one of our trades, the odds obviously would have changed, because this is probably equivalent to settling out of this match selection at around about the 85th minute onwards. So I just went with a lot shorter odds for this, I went down to 1.01, 1.03, depending on what the team selection was for that match, just to give a bit more accurate odds for the ones where it did end up just being 2 or 3-0. But as you can see, if we'd have cashed out and waited on each of the 2-0s till hopefully a goal came or until the teams got back into it, you can see we would have made a profit of 78 pence. So it's not huge, but it would still have been a profit, which is something you really like to see. It would have been beneficial to have done this for the whole month. I mean, it's not worthwhile doing because we would have only got 78 pence, but you can see there it would have made a profit. Now, if we'd have waited till the end for every single match and took the best opportunity possible, so for example, as you can see with Burnley-Chelsea, that there we had 19 pence profit when Chelsea went 2-0 up. Not a great deal, but it's still profit. I think anyone in that instance there is taking that profit because Chelsea were 2-0 up. I think they scored both their goals in the second half and then went on to run away with it. But at 2-0, you probably think Burnley aren't getting back into that. So you take that 19 pence profit. So I put that over here as the final result. I did this for most of them, apart from a few where I thought the other team might get back into it. I then put in a less profit or a loss because I would have waited for them certain matches. But you can see there, based on the final results of these, we would have actually made a much bigger profit and we would have made £27.03. A big chunk of that does come from the actual 2-up that was there, which was Wolves versus Leeds. But I think that figure there at the bottom needs to be taken with a pinch of salt because that is obviously if you manage to time each one of the selections to perfection. If you either get out at 2-0 for a match where then no more goals come, but then you also leave the matches where a goal does come. So that figure is probably inaccurate because it is you using the market to the best of your ability and getting everything perfectly timed. So although there was a profit made there, it probably isn't too accurate. Don't get me wrong, it still would have been a profit because of this 2-up that happened. And it kind of shows here that you won't really need 1 2-up to get you profit. If you have a look here, we would have lost £14 over the course of the month. But this 1 2-up itself got us £20 profit. Now, it wasn't a huge amount of profit because the odds were quite low for Wolves, and that's highlighted very much when you look at the Watford-Southampton game because of how high odds Watford were. And you can see they didn't even achieve a 2-up, but still got more of a profit. They got £27. But this does show how profitable 2-up can be, provided you get your selections right. Because this was a profit, and quite a substantial profit. £27 is over 200% compared to the £10 stakes we were using. Obviously, it's not totally accurate because we did do 62 games throughout this, so it was the equivalent of using £620. So it's not a great profit when you look at it like that. But that was on every single game, which obviously would never be advocated with a 2-up. You should always refine your selection and go for games where you believe it's going to have more of an outcome. I've also got over here in the top right, if I just zoom into this just to make it a little bit easier to see, each breakdown. So you can see we've got weekends set out there, we've got midweek fixtures that we're on, we've got everything set out so you can see which ones we made a profit in. In fact, I'll just do a little bit of conditional formatting so you can see that a little bit better. You can see this one was the most profitable one because there was a 2-up that week. You can see this weekend also had some profit. Again, there was a close to 2-up on that one with the Southampton Wolves game, or Southampton Watford game. But you can see just how it breaks down weekend to weekend. Now, one thing people always advocate straight away when it comes to 2-up is you don't really back the heavy favourite because the likelihood of you getting some actual profit from that is very minuscule and it's not worth the risk. So, for example, Burnley-Chelsea over here, you wouldn't have backed Chelsea. Their odds at 1.5 and 1.55 aren't ideal. As soon as they go 2-0 up, them odds are not going to have much they're not going to have much room to actually drop, and that's proven there by the fact it dropped to 1.04, and you can see it was only 19 pence worth of profit. So initially there, straight away, we can probably get rid of anyone that is below 2.0. I mean, the 1.95 might still be worth going for, but again, as soon as that team's gone 2-0 up, the chances are their odds are dropping to that 1.04, 1.05, and the profits are going to be very minuscule. So I'm going to remove all the ones from here that are below 2.0 odds. So you can see here, this has already refined us down to just 45 selections. You could still be placing some on the same game. So for example, You could be using both Aston Villa here and Arsenal because both of them were above 2.0 odds. But you can already see there initially that this is then getting us more of a profit at that 2-1 stage. You can see that's now getting us £3.73, and it's also getting us £26 overall, which is lower than previously stated, but that is because you're probably not hitting as many 2-ups. But when you do hit a 2-up in this instance, you're going to be getting more profit from it. Now you can see, if we sort by highest odds to lowest odds over on Paddy Power as well, that in general, a team with odds of 7.0 and above, maybe even 6.0 and above, they might not be worth even risking doing, because the chances of that team going 2-0 up, don't get me wrong, it can still happen, and if a team does do that, so if we take Norwich versus Chelsea here, Norwich were odds of 10.0 and 12.5, if they were to do that and then go 2-0 up, you can see instantly there how much potential profit you could get, because let's say they go 2-0 up against Chelsea, the likelihood is their odds will probably have dropped quite significantly, but they'll probably still be not reasonably low. They won't be 1.01 or anything like that, depending on what time the goal is. I'm going to guess at around about 1.8 for this. So you could see there straight away £42 profit. Now, Chelsea would probably get back into that. The odds will probably climb again and go to something like 2.5. You can see there £57 worth of profit. But I think the likelihood of something like that happening isn't worthwhile doing. And these are the ones where, as you can see over here, they give you the biggest chunk of loss. So if we were to also get rid of, if we just come over here and use this number filter effect on the Paddy Power odds and change it to between, so we want odds that are greater than 2.0 but less or equal to, let's say, 6.0. And then again, with that being filtered, now you can see our profit has gone up quite substantially. We would have made a profit at each stage of the 2-up process throughout the month of March. We would have made a profit when teams went 2-0 up, when teams went 2-1, and we would have made a profit overall. And that has boosted our profit there by an extra £10. Now, there is a huge variety of different ways you can filter your 2-ups. Normally, you can do research on the teams, you can look into their home form, their away form. Research does help to an extent, but at the end of the day, it's still just football. I genuinely, when I'm looking at 2-ups, just like to stick to the odds. You can see there, straight away from the odds, we've got 2.0 and above up to 6.0, and you can see we would have made a profit this week. You can judge risk to reward as much as you want. After 2.0, I'd say, to be honest, the ideal snippet for a 2-up is between 2.0 and 3.0, but when you look at the profit we made from the Southampton-Watford one, and the only minuscule losses that were made along with the other teams that were at similar odds, I'd say they are probably still worthwhile doing at 6.0, but above 6.0 I think is really where you start to sway the risk to reward, and it's just not worthwhile doing. So if we'd have filtered our odds, you can see there the profit we would have taken away. You can see we would have only done 38 of the games, so we've cut it nearly by half. And you can see, even if you really wanted to define the selection and just do between 2.0 and 3.0 odds, so let's get the 3.0s up here included, we would have still made around about £25 worth of profit at the end of the month. So let me know down in the comments below what you think about the 2-up method. What different refinements do you use for your strategies? Do you just do every game and hope for the best? Do you use separate leagues? I know the Bundesliga is quite a good league for using 2-ups. Maybe if you want to see me do that for a whole month, I'll do it if you let me know down in the comments. But thank you again for watching. Hopefully you guys will enjoy having a little bit of a look around with each results, filtering them out, seeing exactly what you would have changed, maybe develop a little strategy from it. But let me know down below what you think. Please do, as I said this at the video, if you are new, hit the subscribe button. If you've already been here for a while, hit the like button, leave some comments down below. It will help the video get out there, because there's been a bit more effort into this one than I normally do. But thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.